This is what it's like cooking from scratch on a daily basis. If you're new here, I'm Bob, and this week it's harvest time. The summer is slowly coming to an end, so it's time to harvest all the summer's produce and store it away to keep us going through a long winter. It's early morning and I start in the orchard picking all the plums. Most of them are windfalls on the floor, so I divide them up into ones good enough for the freezer to use in puddings on winter nights, and most importantly, some to eat straight away. I have a long day of harvesting ahead, so I need a snack which will give me the energy to keep going. And walking back, I saw the oats being harvested in the fields, which gave me a good idea. As plums are always quite difficult to know what to do with, this recipe is a beautiful way to use them. It's plum flapjack. Of course, there is no denying that storing all this food is time consuming. I spend late nights and early mornings trying to fit it in around work and daily life. But for me, I never regret the extra time, because relying on pre-made food is like only ever watching the movie, while cooking from scratch is kind of like reading the book version. The movie looks good and satisfies for a short while, and sometimes serves a purpose, but it doesn't really offer us the richness or the depth that comes from the real book, which stays with us far longer and offers a sense of fulfillment that the movie never could. But the catch is, the book takes longer to read, and that can't be avoided. But when you finish a great book, you would never consider it a waste of time. I dipped the corners in white and dark chocolate just for fun, and I couldn't resist waiting till the chocolate was dry to pinch one, and they were delicious. I've written the recipe down below if you want to make it yourself. Then it was on to the main event, the tomato harvest. John Denver once said in the song that there's only two things that money can't buy, and that's true love and homegrown tomatoes. But no matter how good they are, there is a limit of how many I can eat right now, so it's time to preserve them. Canning is a process in which you make food shelf stable. Some things like blackcurrant jam I made a few weeks ago don't have to be canned because the sugar content is so high, which naturally preserves it. I add a little bit of vinegar or lemon juice to the jars to help raise the acidity of the tomato sauce. Then I add the tomato and fill them up. Though canning is simple, there is a few guidelines you have to follow to make sure you do it safely, and so when I started out I followed the advice on the National Centre for Home Food Preservation. But that's just one I got recommended. I'm sure there's lots of other really good sources out there. Once the lids are on, I add them to the water and boil them for about 45 minutes. I know how grateful I'll be in the winter when there's a layer of snow outside and I get to make a spaghetti bolognese with the summer tomatoes. Doing all this works with a big appetite, so to use up the leftover tomatoes and a few veg I picked this morning, for lunch I wanted to make a ratatouille. I have a recipe video on my page for this if you want to make it yourself. It's one of those great meals to have if you feel like you've been lacking a few vegetables recently, and I always have it with a dollop of ricotta. And finally, there is one soft fruit which I don't grow, but I really love the most, and that's peaches. It would be silly of me to spend my whole summer just preparing for winter and let it slip by without stopping to smell the roses, so I made a peach cobbler. It reminds me of an old phrase, that most people pursue pleasure with such breathless haste that they rush right past it. There is so much more to harvest and store away than I can fit in this episode, so next time I'll show you part 2. So that's another week in my kitchen. Follow along if you're wanting to cook more from scratch in your own.